Pleasure to introduce our, we can say, Bhishma Pitama for Ahmedabad branch, CA Kaushik Patel sir, who has a vast experience in profession, in mentoring and guiding all of us. Sir is practicing since 1976 when I was of 1 year only. So please give big round of applause to sir. He is co-managing partner of Manubhai Shah and LLP. His areas of specialization include audit and assurance, company law, FEMA, direct taxes, and business advisory and support services. He has represented clients before company law board, FEMA appellate authorities. His professional achievements and contribution to the profession are enormous. We are, sir, grateful that you have spared your time for this event and you are continuous support pillar for Ahmedabad branch as well as Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So sir, once again, we are welcoming here. I request Nirobhai to welcome sir with the bouquet and memento. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I think it is good afternoon now, 12 o'clock forward. So thank you Ahmedabad branch, Mr. Bhai, for giving me this opportunity once again. I think it is after 1 year that once again I am here before you. I think this is a new batch of these members who have joined the profession and having certificate of practice. First of all, I must compliment and congratulate to all people who are gathered here to select practice as a career in chartered accountancy profession. This is, I think, how many of you are here? How many numbers we have registered? 70 years? 75. 75, but presence is less than that. Anyway, whatever it is. But question is that practice has become a challenging matter for all of us. In fact, what I have realized that when I am taking the interview for article training in my office, whenever occasion arises, and I am asking the student that what will be the career preference for you, and generally the answer is 95% answer is the industry. So the question is, that's a very, I think, sorry state of affairs for our profession. I would say that members, the new youngsters intending to join the profession are not willing to taking up practice as a career. The reason I think we need to look upon, one of the reasons appears to be that the closeness between the principal and the article training, which used to be in our time and at present, I think that is missing. There is a lack of communication between the principal. If you are going in a big firm, so where the article training might be getting difficulty in contacting the partner whenever any such issues arise in Big Four, that is the case. So the motivation which should start at the time when you are under the training, that is lacking. And I think that motivation which we used to have, and when we selected, me, Sai, and my friends who are in the profession nowadays, that motivation is nowadays lacking. And I think that is major reason why the members or the youngsters are not willing to select the practice as a career in their professional life. There are advantages. Of course, biggest, I think, attraction appears to be the remuneration. Practice normally is going to take a longer time to settle down and level the achievement, earnings potential. But at the same time, it must be remembered that once you have established yourself after 5 or 7 years, then there is no limit to the sky is the limit. That is also a very important thing that must be remembered. When I joined the practice as a partner in my firm, and the institute's secretary at that time came to our Ahmedabad city in one of the conferences, and at that time members were making a hue and cry about the opportunities available in the practice. He advised that you have to be very patient when you are in the practice. In our time, having a car after starting the practice was, I think, dream. Means one can get a car for a professional in practice. That was a time lag of 5 years. After 5 years, we used to travel on the scooter. when we started the practice. Thereafter, the time came when we bought the car and used to have that. So he said that now the youngsters want the car immediately they pass out the CA examination. Of course, now the lifestyle has improved and all of your family must be having that capacity to provide you a car. But in our time, that was the situation. So the point to be considered, or point which I want to bring to your notice, is to have a patience in the practice. Have patience and then be resilient. Try to face the challenges which are coming in your ways, and I think that will help you to establish yourself, and ultimately then it is your luck and your labor that will naturally going to pay you also. So with this background, let me start with my presentation. I have selected the topic on the subject of most challenging area of practice, that is the audit and assurance services, and what are the challenges and opportunities available in these areas. Let me first ask you a question and let us make it interactive. That is, how many of you would really be interested in taking up audit as the only area of practice? You must be aware that nowadays at the higher level, but particularly at the government level and more particularly NAFRA, the independence of auditor is a major issue which is being considered. And for an auditor to remain independent, what is being expected is that the audit firm should not be engaged in any other activity or should not seek the work from the same client of which they are the auditors. So now what are the firms are doing? That they have separated the audit practice from other practices, and only firm which is carrying out the audit is the is not doing any other work for their audit clients. So that is the trend which is now developing. So audit in that way is now becoming more challenging, and there are other challenges also. So those who are interested or those who are willing to join or take up the audit as a career, then we must understand what are the challenges and opportunities. Let me must try to understand what according to you are the major challenges in audit practice.
Sir, to get a client or an audit is as of now a very big challenge, because there are established teams, established firms who are working for long.
So getting client in the audit according to you is the challenge.
Yes.
Any other challenge?
To ensure compliance of all the auditing, accounting standards and regulatory requirements is utmost important and challenging one, because all the regulators, stakeholders, governments, they are relying on our reports, and it's very much important for us to have a proper documentation of whatever work done and whether the report is reliable, so that we can clear all the QRB, NAFRAs and other reviews.
Right. I think that is the most appropriate, I would say, biggest challenge that nowadays the audit profession is facing. Any other view or idea? I think most of the present member over here must have served their articleship in a mid-sized firm. So audit they might not have faced the challenges which the real auditors are facing, because carrying out an audit of a small private limited company or a partnership firm or the tax audit or charitable trust vis-a-vis the audit of a big company or a listed entity, which poses the greater challenges. So from that perspective, audit is still a bigger challenge. But my friend really said that the expectation of the regulators and meeting the requirement is one of the biggest challenges so far as audit is concerned in the present day time. So let me start with my presentation. Our ICA's motto, I think audit, in fact, our profession used to be recognized as an auditor. When I say I'm a chartered accountant, society will say that you are the auditor. So that is the auditing profession. We chartered accountants, before that we are auditors. Society recognizes us or remembers us as an auditor. And the institute's motto is very appropriate. Ya esha shaptesu jagarte, kamam kamam purusho nirmimamah. That is, I think, in all our conferences before we start, we recite this motto. And the appropriate meaning, it is taken from Kathopanishad, that when others are sleeping, we are awake. So that is, I think, basically what is expected from us by the society, by the lawmakers and by the regulators. And that role we have to pursue. understand and put into practice. That is very important because institute's motto is this, and I think we are deviating from that when we are not taking audit as our career path. What is the significance of audit? Audit is a very noble profession, I would say, as compared to medical profession, engineering profession, or lawyer's profession. So in that context, audit, we must understand the significance of the audit. First is our role in the economic development of the country. We are now being considered as a partner in nation building. Abdul Kalam, when he was a president of our country and came to our institute, he gave this word that you are a partner in the nation building. Your role as a professional chartered accountant is that of national partner. Auditor, you have to be very decisive, innovative, and must have an ability to face the challenges. I think that is what is required, that you must have that ability to face the challenges. It provides confidence to the investing public. Our audit report, as has been said, is providing confidence to the investing public, whether to make an investment, to continue the investment, whether to lend the money or not. So various decision makers use our report as a basis for taking the decision. It serves as a check against misuse of fund. Of course, there are maybe some instances where audit failure would have been there, but ultimately we have to ensure that our role is to check the misuse of the funds by our client entity and bring to that notice. And helps in strengthening the processes. This is a value addition services which as an auditor we should provide to our client in strengthening their processes and improving the corporate governance. Audit and assurance, just a brief distinction. Audit assurance is a wider term than an audit, because in audit we are basically concerned with the examination of the books of accounts and giving, deriving our conclusion and give a report whether the financial statement exhibits true and fair value. That is a limited way. In assurance services, it is beyond audit, and we give various type of assurances like certification on various courses. Then a public issue, when it is coming, our report on prospectus or financial information included in the prospectus. These are all other various type of assurance services which is beyond the normal audit. And in audit, it includes statutory audit, internal audit, tax audit, etc. These are the various types of audit. So assurances are of two types. Reasonable assurance that is given in the audit. We do not give an absolute assurance. And limited assurance that is given in the form of a negative assurance, when we have not carried out 100% audit, but we are giving some opinion on certain financial information which is given in the form of a negative assurance. That is a limited assurance. What is the present state of audit profession in India? And I think recently only, in the Economic Times of 25th January 2024, I read an interview of the chairman of Ajay Bhushan Pandey, the chairman of National Financial Reporting Authority. And in the beginning part of his interview, he very rightly said that what is the role of the audit profession, or what is the status of the audit profession in India. And he said that there is a need to recognize the complexity of the working environment in today's globally integrated information technology driven new businesses and economic environment. So we need to recognize the complexity of the present businesses which has arisen out of the information technology driven new businesses. We see that earlier time we had fewer type of businesses, only manufacturing or services. Now technology has brought out various types of industry, fintech for example. That's a new type of industry. AI has brought out various types, service industries, startups with innovative ideas. So these are all various types of new industries that is being coming. And as an auditor, we need to be aware of those type of changes which the technology has brought and now what is required to be done. And three aspects he has brought to the notice. First is specialization. That now the auditor will require a specialization, and that can be achieved by a robust education program. That whatever training we would have got, whatever we have learned during our examination process, that or in addition to that, we need to have a specialization by getting the continuous education. That is first area. Second aspect is saying that the auditor will have to obtain new professional skill set. And that can be done by adequate and appropriate demonstration of the work what we have performed and a proper documentation thereof. In the earlier session, you must have learned the importance of the documentation in our practice area, on all practice area, but it is more important so far as audit profession is concerned, because ultimately we have to demonstrate to the public, to our reviewer, to the regulator, the work what we have done, how we have done, the basis on which we have derived the conclusion and framed an opinion. So this is very important, and that is what is being expected by a regulator like NAFRA. And third is the change in the mindset. So independence, as I said in the beginning, that independence from the audit entity that has to be kept, and communication with those charged with the governance, TCWG, those charged with the governance means members of the audit committee, board of directors, etc. So expectation of the regulator is like this, that we need to understand the changes which is brought by technology in the various business areas, and accordingly equip ourselves by bringing specialization, changing our mindset, etc. Just to give you a broad overview about our users of our services, who are the users of our audited financial statement, broadly categorized into three parts. One is government and regulatory authorities. Second is company management and owners and outsiders. This is third category. Within that, first category, government, SEBI, Security and Exchange Board of India, RBI, NAFA, MCA. Institute is also using our audit report for their internal purposes and regulation. NFRA, NAFRA, and tax authorities, that is income tax, etc. Tax audit report is being used for the assessment, etc. Company and management side, they are the main users of our reports and the other information which is being attested by us, which includes management, board of directors, audit committee members, shareholders, whistleblowers, etc. Outside users, those who are indirectly connected with the management, which category includes lenders, that is bankers and financial institutions, analysts, prospective investors, and competitors of the business. So now basic question, that why the present day challenges in the audit has arisen. The time, I am involved in this practice more than 40-45 years. The earlier times when we used to carry out the audit and the present day time when we are carrying out the audit, we see a vast change. And with that changes, the challenges have increased. And which I could perceive the basic reasons for those challenges. Some of them are listed out over here. First is voluminous and complex transactions. Now, 100 crore has no value. In terms of value, if you look to or talk in terms of business, 100 crores is a very minimal amount. When people are talking thousands and crores and lakhs, millions and millions, so in that context, the volume of businesses are increased. And at the same time, complexity have increased. Various instruments, financial instruments, machineries which are coming, fast manufacturing processes, marketing techniques, all these have brought provide bigger changes in the business, and which has increased the challenges for the auditor. Use of technology by the auditors. That is also, if you want to cope up yourselves with the increased volume and complexity of our auditing client, naturally we have to make use of technology in our audit process, which will come later on. Stringent review by the auditors, that has been discussed, that now SEBI, NAFRA, etc., they are reviewing our working papers, our working style, and how far they are adequate to enable us to give our opinion. That is being reviewed. In our earlier time, it was being said that who will audit the auditors? There was no review mechanism before 2000. I would say before the year 2000, there was no review mechanism, which Institute has recently brought. Peer review, then NAFRA's inspection. All these are the quality review. These are the reviews which is being carried out by the institute level and regulators level, and stringent penalties are being levied. One of the biggest challenge which the profession in the profession has come is the globalization. Because of the world coming together, the new techniques, new ideas, new funds, when it is coming or going abroad, coming from abroad, that has increased the challenges for the audit profession. Rating of the audit firms. Earlier there was no concept. We used to know big 8, then big 8 became big 6, and big 6 now it become big 4. So big 4 accounting firms, that is their rating. But below that, there is no rating. So now the rating of audit firm, the institute has come out with audit quality maturity model, AQMM. And for that, they have devised certain benchmark criteria. Each firm has to evaluate their practices, processes, etc. against those benchmark criteria, and now institute is going to rate those firms against those criteria. So that rating of the which will be made public, and it will be a very transparent process. So that is a challenging work for the audit firm. Professional skepticism, fraud detection, that is being considered as an important part of the audit, which is bringing challenges. In our time, it was told that auditor is a watchdog, not a bloodhound. Because a watchdog means रखे वाला कुतरो गुजराती में जाने के कोई दाड़ो बसे नहीं फक्त बारना ने बताओ माने तबारा घरमा कुतरो છે તો કોઈ માણસ આવતા બે વાર વિચાર કરે પણ એ કરડે. That's a watchdog. But now bloodhound, શિકારી કૂતરો કે જે અજાણ્યો માણસ આવે તેની સામે ધસી જાય અને એને સામે તમારું પ્રોટેક્શન. So now the auditor's role is expected that of a bloodhound, not a watchdog. So that professional skepticism concept, and I think in the standard SA 240, they have brought that concept, questioning mind. That professional skepticism concept is now there, it is part of the standard which has brought the challenge for the profession. And biggest challenge, I think earlier apart also it was discussed about the resource constraint, and this is the meeting the timeline of the client. So with this background, why the challenges have come? What are the real challenges in practical life which you are facing? That is the risk, audit risk. You know what is audit risk? In audit, what risk we are taking?
We may have chosen a wrong sample.
Yes, choosing a wrong sample. But ultimately, from an overall angle, if you see, the risk is giving an inappropriate report. That in the circumstances where we should have given a qualified opinion and we are not giving a qualified opinion, and we are giving a clean opinion. So this is an inappropriate reporting in the circumstances which requires us to make a proper judgment, evaluation, and derived conclusion is not coming. So that is the biggest audit risk that is coming. Why? It is coming on account of volume and complexity of the transactions. Impact of fast changing technology. Clients are using various softwares, SAP, ERP, etc. all are there. And as against that, sometimes we do not get the proper audit train. How the transactions are entered in the system, what is the input, what is the output, how the transactions are processed, whether the process data is really reliable, acceptable. All these are the challenges on account of use of technology. And that auditor has to consider, and which is very difficult. Now, for a person like me, who had started the career when there were even calculators were at the initial stage, and now carrying out in a audit in a situation when there are SAP and data are what I would say processed in a very minimum time, fast, voluminous, and then making them analyze and understand. It's a challenge for the profession. Of course, youngsters, they are now very well equipped, and they are getting themselves more equipped with this. Constant amendment in law, Companies Act. You must be aware that Companies Act, it is more a rule-based law than rather than an act-based law. So rule every time getting changed. Nowadays notifications are coming day in, day out, and auditor has to keep himself aware and abreast of them. Stringent penalties. You must have read in the newspaper and other forum that NFRA, which has carried out the investigation of various companies and have levied heavy penalties on the chartered accountants. That is one of the big four firms, the penalty amount was more than 50 lakh, and the partner was barred from practicing for a period of more than 7 years. So this is the type of penalty or the quantum of penalty and punishment which is now being levied on the audit firm on account of the lapses which the regulator finds out while carrying out the investigation. Increasing expectation of the society, government, regulators, etc. You see, anything which goes wrong in any industry, the first person to be caught hold of is the auditor. Management will not be. First, the government will ask, who is the auditor? उसको पकड़ो पहले. અત્યારે ગવર્મેન્ટ લેવલ ઓથોરિટી આર આમ થિંકિંગ એઝ અ ચેલેન્જ કે ઓડિટરને પહેલા પકડો. જે સીબીઆઈ બેંકમાં તમે એકાઉન્ટ એનપીએ થાય તો પહેલો સવાલ આવે કે ઓડિટરે શું કરતા. સો દેટ ઇઝ ધી એક્સપેક્ટેશન ઓફ ધી રેગ્યુલેટર્સ, લેન્ડર્સ, બધાની યાદ છે કે ઓડિટરને ફોલ્ટ કેમ એકાઉન્ટ કેમ એને ધ્યાન આવ્યું. ઇનફેક્ટ દે વોન્ટ ધ ઓડિટર્સ ટુ બી મોર પ્રોએક્ટિવ. સ્ટોક ઓડિટમાં ગયા અને સ્ટોક ઓડિટમાં ગયા પછી જો તમે સ્ટોકમાં ડિસ્ક્રિપન્સી એ ના શોધી શક્યા, પ્રોપર વેરિફિકેશન ના કરી અને અલ્ટિમેટલી એકાઉન્ટમાં કોઈ એનપીએ થાય કે બીજો કંઈ એમાં ઘોટાળો મળે તો નીચેલી ઓડિટર ઇઝ બિંગ ડન. સો દેટ ઇઝ ધી એક્સપેક્ટેડ. મેનેજમેન્ટ પછી આવશે, પહેલા ઓડિટર આવશે. Rotation of the audit. That is a new thinking which is now being coming out. Is that the audit firm, in order to show that auditor is independent, and in order to maintain the independence of the auditor, now under the provision of the Companies Act, they have brought the provision that in case of a listed company and some big companies, the audit firm has to be rotated every 5 years, and maximum period to allow for a particular audit firm for that company is 10 years. So to 5 years term, one term of 5 years and 2 terms, the 10 years term is allowed. So that has also been changed. Earlier, once the auditor is appointed for a company, if there is no disagreement with the management, everything goes well, auditor can continue through his lifetime or even through the lifetime of the company. That time has gone. Decreasing inclination of youngsters, and I think one of the friends here posed a question that they are not getting the staff or getting the staff and then retaining them is also become challenge. And more particularly, even if one is willing to come to your office, he would ask the work of a GST or income tax. But if we ask him that you have to be taken up in audit department, he will naturally think twice to take up the audit as a career. So that is the biggest challenge, that youngsters are not willing to take up audit as a career. Another challenge is the reducing opportunities. Now the limit in the case of tax audit has increased. Earlier it was 40 lakhs, now it has gone to 10 crores. Then GST audit, it was there, now it has gone. So that is reduction in the opportunity. Similarly, in case of bank branch, now the banks are getting merged, amalgamated, number of branches have increased. Even Reserve Bank and bank management have changed the criteria that branches with certain sizes need not be got audited. There also, so therefore the opportunities available in the bank branch audit has also reduced significantly. Another challenge is the quality review, which is being done by the institute. That keeps the member alert. He has to keep himself very prepared, face the challenges. So this quality review is a challenge for the members. AQMM, I said, rating of the audit firm by the institute level, and it's a challenge. Biggest challenge is the remuneration. You said about the getting the client, but second question is also getting the remuneration from the client. It is because the audit is not considered as a remunerative profession. That is the biggest thing. If you go to the client, I think Sanjeev will rightly say that bargaining with the client so far as audit fee work is concerned, it's a very difficult task. No client realizes the value of audit because it is merely considered as a compliance work. If you, what I am required, if I am in a company management, I would say that I am required to get my accounts audited, and I can get it done through any chartered accountant. Question is, we as a professional has to be united. Impress upon the client that no, audit is not that simple. We have to demonstrate that it's a responsible job, and that helps you in management, in compliance processes, in improving your image, etc. So if we are in a position to impress upon our client on this aspect, we can naturally bargain. Big Fours are getting quite good premium in their audit fees because they are in a position to say the value addition they are bringing to their client, the process which they are following, which gives more comfort. Whereas some of the big companies are asking only Big Four as their auditors. Or even there is a provision in the when some foreign investor comes and enters into a shareholder agreement with the Indian company's management, there is a clause that auditor of that company will be one of the Big Four companies. So that they are prepared to give higher remuneration also. So question is that getting a remuneration for the audit services is a challenge, but gradually I think we need to have a mindset prepare ourselves to ensure that we get adequate remuneration. Minimum scale of fees are prescribed by the institute, so we can show the client that these are the minimum scale of fees which our institute has prescribed. This is the time which we are required to devote and which we have actually devoted, and consequently our fees should be this much. If we are in a position to impress upon the client, I think that challenge also can be met with it. And increasing reporting responsibility. Normally, we are required to report on the financial information, balance sheet, profit and loss. But in addition to that, we have seen that non-financial information, like internal financial control, that is the audit. Even CARO, you will find that under CARO, there are certain other matters, adequacy of the internal audit system, one of the important requirements. Whether the company is required to be registered as non-banking financial company. So these are non-financial information on which now we as an auditor are required to give a report. So that is also a challenge for the members or the audit firms who are carrying out the audit. A survey was conducted some 3-4 years back by one of the international group measures, and they cited 4 myths about the audit and what were the survey's findings. 4 myths they posed before the participants in the survey. That what is the primary object of the audit, whether it is that of fraud detection, whether the future of the audit is robotic on account of technology evolution, whether auditors should stick to the traditional financial information only, and whether the companies want joint audit or not. And what were the findings of the survey? Against the first issue, objective of the audit of fraud detection, the result was that fraud detection and tackling corruption, they are not the main goals of the audit. So that's a good thing, that we are not expected that as our audit process will definitely bring out to the surface any fraud which might have been perpetrated in the company accounts, etc. So that is not expected of the audit. We have to exercise reasonable care and caution, and if during that process, if some fraud comes to our notice, then our duty as an auditor arises. Technology is important to audit process. So robotic challenge, or what is being understood or what is being discussed is that with the change on AI and blockchain technology, the auditor's requirement will go down. We will not require human beings to carry out the audit. So that is not the case. We should not be afraid of that. Technology can be a great help to our audit process, but that cannot be a substitute to the human being. Our brain, ultimately technology will help us bring to our table the data which we require for our perusal, analysis, and taking a decision or forming an opinion. But that cannot take a decision whether this report or my opinion should be modified. Opinion can be taken only by the human brain and human body. So audit cannot be, technology cannot be substitute for the auditor. Auditor should stick to the traditional information. There I think the opinion was that they should also go to some non-financial information as a value addition services. And joint audit concept. In case of big companies, now joint audit is welcome, and I think government is also considering for bringing amendment in the Companies Act that for a certain size of company, there should be a joint audit. In a bank like State Bank of India, there are 14 joint auditors. In a company like ONGC, where we are auditors, there are 5 joint auditors. So now big companies are thinking, even Reliance, even size, they have 2 joint auditors. So joint audit concept big companies have adopted, because in order to cope up with the volume of work and complexity, joint audit is always desirable, and that is also being considered positively in the sense that smaller firms, if they are associated with the bigger firm by way of joint audit, then smaller firms' capacity will increase and they will be able to take up the audit of bigger entities. Some statistical information in terms of the opportunity which is available, and some what is the present position. So from the institute's database, I could found that as of January 1, 2024, there are 3,86,000 members on the roll of the institute, and out of which 40% members are COP holders and 60% members are non-COP holders. So quite contradicting situation. Only 40% are coming into practice, 60% are not going into practice. So 1,56,000 is the COP holder and 2,30,000 non-COP holders. Now within that COP holders and an ACA and FCA, you must be aware that FCA member can become a fellow member of the institute after completing 5 years of this service or practice area. So he can be enrolled as a fellow. Before that, he will be considered as a CA. So ACAs are juniors, FCAs are seniors, I would say. So look to that. The numbers are ACA 60,100. They are the out of COP holders, which percentage comes to 15% of the total membership. That is 3,86,000. So out of 3,86,000, 15% ACAs, that is 60,000 ACAs are COP holders, and 25%, 96,000, they are the COP holders in FCA category. So that trend, what it shows, that the seniors or the persons who are in upper category or age above certain age or experience, they are into practice, not going into, they are into practice, I would say. And non-COP holders, ACAs are highest because they have preference is to go for industry. So 55% of the total membership, that is 2,12,000, they are non-COP holders ACA, and FCA only 17,000. So this is one statistics. Another statistics is about the CA firms in India. The data is somewhat old. That is the position as of January 2022. That there were 93,162 firms, accounting firms, not in audit firm, but in accounting practice. CA firms, there are 93,162. And the breakup is, out of which biggest is the proprietorship firm. Practicing as a proprietor is 67,500. So still that trend continues. And I think that's a challenge with the profession agency, that if you want to take a bigger assignment, if you want specialization, you need to consider that alone you cannot carry out the practice. You have to associate yourself, you have to form the partnership, and in that context, I think this situation is somewhat now not acceptable, I would say, so far as our profession is concerned. 67,000 firms are as a proprietor, because now it would have changed. Now institutes are also encouraging networking, partnership, etc. Now if you want to take up a practice audit of some other entity, the empanelment criteria requires that you should be a partnership firm with certain number of partners, etc. All other things, highest 51 and above partners, there are 10 firms, one of the big four, and then various categories. Medium-sized firms, 2 to 5 partners, that is 23,000, which also forms a significant part. So point is that you have to have a partnership to grow in the practice and settle in the practice. And considering the opportunity, the active companies on the register of companies as on December 2022 were 14,92,000. About 15 lakh companies available for audit, because company audit is mandatory. So 15 lakh companies, 93,000 firms. So I think opportunities are still available for audit. That is only company audit I am talking. There are other areas of practice. So opportunities are available to a greater extent. Overall perspective, looking to the country's position globally, what are the practice, how the audit can be more available opportunity for the audit profession. First is the industrial revolution, technology changes. I think that it will require the auditors to carry out those audits of those entities. Globalization, more investment is coming in India. Even our Gujarat state has recently vibrant summit where investment opportunities, where people have promised for huge investment in our state. So considering that, that is naturally going to bring the opportunities for the auditors. India is a fast growing economy, and government says that we should reach a $5 trillion economy by year 2025. And lastly, we have a stable government with forward-looking approach. So these are the, from the overall economic position concerned, audit profession has a greater opportunity. That is what I want to bring to your notice. Looking to the macro level, I would say, macro level, what are the opportunities if we consider a requirement of the audit, not only in the statutory audit, but if you are in the audit practice, the other areas of the audit, internal audit, risk assessment, I would say, concurrent audit, forensic audit, process audit, etc. These are the areas in the audit firm audit practice. Remote audit. Looking to the audit process, I don't know whether you have carried out the audit during COVID time, but that has opened up the door for carrying out the audit from remote basis. At every time we are not required to visit the client place, office or factory premises. And with the use of technology, the remote auditing is possible, giving us a reasonable assurance which we are required to obtain for expressing our opinion. So I will show you one video also, where now what is going to be future audit. So in that context, remote audit is going to bring opportunity. Even with the resource constraint, I would say that with the use of technology, the effective audit can be carried out. Recently, RBI in year 2021 has come out with a circular in the context of audit of non-banking financial company, which was a prerogative of Big Four. Now they have brought out the concept that in NBFC, the auditors will have to be rotated every 3 years. Then after 3 years, they cannot be appointed for next 2 term of 3 years. So that can provide opportunity to other members also. In case of NBFC with a size of more than 15,000 crore business, they will be requiring audit, etc. So that RBI circular is going to bring a greater opportunity for the auditors. And joint auditors, as I said, under the Companies Act, they are bringing that proposal. Related services, in addition to audit, we can also render services for implementation of internal financial control in case of our client companies. Coverage of into conversion of that financial statement to Ind AS, because now Ind AS is mandatory for the companies who intend to go for a public issue or those who are already listed entities. So Ind AS conversion is an area of opportunity. Implementation of ERP systems, sometimes accounting firms are asked to help the client when they are implementing the ERP systems. Training to the staff, that is also an area which we can explore in our audit practice. That is when the client is going for ERP or implementing Ind AS, then in that case training to their staff is important. Fixed asset register, smaller part, and their physical verification. Another recent development is ESG, that is environment, sustainability and governance, and that is the requirement for big companies, and where audit firms now will be required to attest the reporting by the company. And valuation. So some inner aspects, I think, just quickly. How to equip ourselves to face the audit challenges and seize the opportunities by acquiring the technical competence required. We have to gain the practical experience, and I think that comes only from the article stage training. So if you have started the practice, groom your articles also and equip yourself by attending seminars, conferences, etc. Work-life balances, I think earlier session it was discussed. Employee comfort is also required if you want to retain the good employees, and what should be your financial objectives. Practice management, that is also I think covered indirectly by planning, HR management, risk management, leveraging technology, and succession planning. Succession planning is very important because if you have to gain the confidence of your client, naturally they would ask you that how many partners, how many staff health you have. And in that context, the succession planning for the firm by entering into partnership, by bringing the young generation as a partner or associate, that is very much required. Mergers findings are not relevant much, but I think here this video work. Is it what?
This is Rose, who's a partner of one of the big audit firms and is leading the audit of a Fortune 500 manufacturing firm. She has left on the technological.
purely fictional video about the future of audit based on the technological advancements that is currently happening around us. This is Rose, who is a partner in one of the big audit firms and is leading the audit of a Fortune 500 manufacturing firm. She has less than 10 members in her team for the audit. Number of professionals required for the audit has significantly reduced based on the technological advancements. Now, the audit firm has deployed audit bots in the client's accounting system, which is based on the blockchain technology. These audit bots are built based on artificial intelligence and sends her real-time information about any significant variations from her expectations. Now, the audit software is backed by advanced data analytics capability and artificial intelligence. Let's see how she would plan her audit from the start to the end. The first step, planning. Audit softwares is automatically set to compute the planning materiality. All the required client data like a trial balance and the historical trends will automatically flow to the audit software. Audit software, which is based on artificial intelligence, also uses big data to collect other economic trends to predict the planning materiality. Rose just needs to confirm a couple of required inputs for the system to calculate the materiality automatically. The next step, which is control testing. Control testing now totally eliminates human involvement and is fully done by the bots. Entity-level controls will be the only area which her team members will perform manually. As explained earlier, audit firm has deployed audit bots in their accounting system. These bots are based on artificial intelligence and can identify any significant changes in the trends or when a suspicious activity happens in the system or any alteration in the controls placed in the system. Now, the client system does not have any manual controls and all the controls are automated controls. Rose and her team members continuously monitor the exception reports and discuss with the management on a real-time basis. The last step, which is the final audit. Now, there is no concept such as interim and final testing, as the audit is a continuous process. Inventory verification is done by the drones, and the information is sent to the audit software, which will automatically reconcile, and the exception reports will be generated for her staff to verify and discuss with the client. No bank or account receivable confirmation is required, as the client system is based on blockchain technology and the transactions are posted only when it is confirmed by the other party. This has totally eliminated the reconciliations from the accounting process and has eliminated the confirmations for the audit process. No physical contract verifications are required, as the client now has smart contracts which the bots will verify for any significant changes. Client system now automatically creates financial statements and disclosures and has no manual interferences. Audit software has the ability to recreate the financial statements and can compare it with the client statements. Now, only a few areas require complex accounting treatments and require auditors' involvement. Rose is able to do a much better audit using advanced technologies and much lesser staff. Her cost is significantly reduced and the accuracy has significantly gone up. This is a purely
So ultimately, key takeaways. Audit is going to be a prerogative of the chartered accountant. So it has to remain, and it is going to bring greater opportunities and increasing challenges being greater opportunities for the members. Specialized firms will be there in the audit profession. And ultimately, amongst other things, technology is not going to disrupt, as we said. In fact, it will reduce the cost, bring the accuracy. CEO and CFOs are looking upon auditor as a great value addition, so that's a great achievement for the present. And ultimately, social status is going to be there for the audit profession. So with this, thank you very much for the patient hearing.
Thank you so much, Kaushik sir, the most senior most member in well-reputed firm, sharing his valuable expertise and knowledge with the members. I am sure, sir, your rich experience will surely benefit the young members at large, and the members here is surely taking home with some insightful knowledge with your experience. Thank you so much, sir, for always obliging Ahmedabad branch with your presence. And thank you so much, sir.